Good evening, everyone. Today, we're going to cover a quick stock review. I haven't really done many stock reviews lately. And again, guys, I always tell you, it's always a great time to invest. Just because I don't do stock reviews doesn't mean there's a great time to invest. And here's a great stock that I believe that will take off. I believe that will absolutely take off. And the reason for that is so the information that's coming out here, and we have to understand that AMC is now in partnership or now in dealings with Disney. What does that mean to the movie industry? What does that mean for Disney? Before we get into all of that, let's go ahead and cover the trajectory, because we know this has been a very volatile stock. We know that that group from Reddit took control of this stock and made millions of dollars by controlling the stock, pumping and dumping this stock. But Disney is in partnership. Disney is in contracts. Disney is about to, what I would like to believe, buy AMC theaters. And why is this important? The past year, AMC has been down roughly 7%. The past 3 months, they've been down 18%. The past month, they've been up 8%. The past week, they've been up almost 1%. And today, really haven't made any profit, about 1%, 1.2%. When we do the tally in the post market as well. Now, if you notice, I went on there today and I bought, I invested $200, which is down to $197.15, roughly 26 and a half shares, okay, which is only 1.1% of my portfolio, okay? Now, we're not gonna do a full stock review with AMC, but I'm just gonna give you the importance in case you guys kind of missed the news here. It says AMC partnered with Disney. It announced a partnership with entertainment giant Walt Disney that brings it more firmly in sync with the new age of streaming. The partnership benefits both companies. Now, nothing compares to you and your family, you and your loved one, you and a friend, whoever it may be, going out to see a movie, right? You got you got your blankets, you got your drinks, and some of the places you go, they serve alcoholic beverages. They're serving full dining menus, okay? And they got the reclining seats that everybody love. I mean, if you don't get a chance to enjoy the movie, you'll at least get a good nap nonetheless. So what I believe is going to occur when Walt Disney buys or become controlling partner of AMC, they're going to exclusively release all of their Marvel, okay? I believe DC falls under Disney as well. But all of the DreamWorks, there's going to be so many movies that Disney is going to bombard their own theaters with first, okay? They're going to like, oh, it's only going to be released in AMC theaters, which Disney will own. So they will have a controlling share. They will be controlling the market of movies when it comes to Marvel, DC, DreamWorks, and anything else that really falls under the Disney brand. And I had a whole list that I was going to run through, but I didn't want to bore you guys. Just know that Disney owns about 20% of the entertainment space, which is astronomical because the entertainment space grosses over what, 150, 250 billion dollars a year. Nonetheless, Disney is a great competitor in this market, and by owning AMC, they're going to exclusively release some of the Marvel movies, okay? And this is what we need to keep our eye on. So right now you're getting under $10, which I believe is an absolute steal, okay? You can go over to Motley Fool. I think they did a really good breakdown of what they believe is going to happen, okay? They say, hey, what's the deal? Early this week, AMC CEO, an image of Disney perks that includes special screening at AMC theaters. The two entertainment companies have a solid relationship based on decades of Disney movies shown in AMC theaters. AMC also operates theaters at Disney Springs, a resort area that's part of Disney World, okay? So that's my quick stop tip for you guys. But now we're gonna jump right into it, family. We're not going to waste a lot of your time here. There's a lot of information out here, but I think some things, because there's so much going on right now, right? And people always say that there's always a lot of things going on, family. But with this, it took me some time to really think this through. because I thought about how the medical situation that the world has been in for quite some time now, and concentrating my views and my comments and statements right here in America, how the government was offering PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program. They was offering this as a loan. They was offering this as a grant. And so we're going to get into the details of what that is first and foremost. So we have some idea what it truly is, okay? It says that PPP is a program that provides 8 weeks of cash flow assistance to small businesses through 100% federally guaranteed loans to employees who maintain their payroll during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, automatically, family, we have to understand that this is from sbc.senate.gov, which is a federal government website, which has already have lied. Why? Because what airlines you know are small businesses? That's just a quick question, okay? It also states PPP is a forgivable loan. If the employer maintains its payroll, then the portion of the PPP loan used for cover payroll costs, interest on mortgage obligations, rent, and utilities will be forgiven, which will help workers to remain employed and affected small businesses and other economy to recover quickly from the crisis. This proposal will be retroactive to February 15, 2020 to help bring workers who may have already been laid off back into payrolls. All right, so now we have a great idea what PP is, and of course, they have all sorts of borrowers, how to calculate for the lenders, applications. You go down the whole entire checklist, right? You come over to the SBA.gov, another federal government website for small businesses, and how you can withdraw your PPP loan or even try to apply and put in an application for PPP loan forgiveness. They have all this information here for you. With that being said, small businesses owe billions in unforgivable PPP loans. Unforgivable PPP loans. Unforgivable PPP loans. Let me go back up here. PPP is a forgivable loan. sbc.senate.gov is the website. PPP is a forgivable loan if you meet this criteria, right? Small businesses owe billions in unforgivable PPP loans. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this thing, right? It states here, nearly 350,000 small businesses that receive a PPP loan that have not had their loans forgiven. Another 380,000 loans have been only partially forgiven. A recent analysis by Bloomberg News says total PPP debt amounts to $28 billion. $28 billion, with most loans for less than $25,000. So the government owns a small controlling share, but they didn't say how many own 25,000. They said, you know, with most of them, but that's not a hard number. You know, most of them. Okay, what's most of them? Can we have the numbers? We'll get that on the next census. We'll get that on the next voting blog. Yeah, we'll tell you then. Then it goes in the states that during 2021, the SBA, Small Business Administration, reported distributing more than $400 billion to more than 6 million businesses through the PPP. Let me do the math on that. My calculator here. That's a lot of goddamn money. I don't need to do the math on that. That's a lot of money. Let's look at this. 400 billion to more than 6 million businesses through the PPP. Talking about restaurant, a revitalization fund, shuttered venue operations, blah, blah, blah. The EIDL, which is the Economic Disaster Relief Program, loan program. Family, they have sent so much money out of this country to Ukraine, to Nigeria, to all the international foreign countries that essentially, I've showed this information before, but I didn't want this video to be extremely long. I'm just kind of painting a picture here for you guys that these businesses that the American government state they're going to essentially rescue, because this money came from the American Rescue Plan. Well, if you rescue me and then you charge me for rescuing me, then some people are like, hey, don't rescue me. That's why nowadays people don't even want the ambulance to come to their home, because you help me, you sustain my life, and people will state that no amount of money is worth your life being taken, so you might as well just get an ambulance come take you. I get that, family. But the $3,000 to $5,000 price tag, what type of fuel are they using these ambulances? Okay, they're using jet fuel? Because I know a lot of people get these damn bills. They're like, holy, whoa, $3,000 for an ambulance only went 7 miles. They might as well have a first responder Uber that can do first aid. I don't know. But family, when I'm looking at this, when the government has given you a loan, just like the bank will give you a loan for your home, the bank will give you a loan for your car, you necessarily don't own that property. You necessarily don't own that vehicle, okay? It's whoever is the lien holder. The government is now a lot of, well, take for instance, if we add this up, 350,000 small businesses that receive a PPP loan have not had their loans forgiven. Okay, that's 350,000. Then you have another 380,000 that has been partially forgiven, but nonetheless, the government still owns parts of these businesses. Where does the fraud and the scam come at? That's your question. I know. So if I shut down the entire country, but I pave a way in order for you to keep your business open by the way of a loan. And see, you have no say-so when your business was shut down, when your family business doors were shut. Would it be a federal crime for you to operate outside that business, right? They had local, state, and even federal law enforcement agents to go inside of certain cities and towns when people was not abiding by the COVID mandate. So you was forcefully to shut down your business. What does this mean to the American people? I'm gonna get there. To force down your business, and now you not only owe the bank that you originally opened your loan with, you now owe the government. Yep, you now own the government because they mandated you, they made you shut down your business, where hundreds of thousands of people became unemployed. And then you had to somehow figure out a way to balance the books and keep them on board in order for them to feed their families, and thinking that the government was going to give you an American Rescue Plan by the way of a PPP loan, not a PPP grant. And now they have somewhat of a percentage of the business that you have to pay back to the American government. Why is this important? We're going to get there, family. 5.2 trillion in stimulus money. What happens to the economy when 5.2 trillion in stimulus money wears off? Now, let's get into the numbers, because this is where it gets really important. Because the American people, oh man, they're giving out stimulus money, they're giving out renters moratoriums where I don't got to pay my rent, and then it all comes crashing down. It's been a trickle effect, because first you was getting, some people was on PPP scams and PPP loans to keep their business afloat. People was getting stimulus money. People was getting unemployment money. People was making more money during the pandemic than they ever was before, and people was blowing this money. And all the while, the government right in front of your face was telling you, you're going to have to pay this money back. They was telling you this PPP loan, this stimulus check was only, it's kind of like a loan shark. You know, I'm going to go ahead and give you, I don't know, let's give you $2,000 at 30%, at 50%, right? And you have to pay me back in perpetuity, meaning forever. Because that's what we're going to see now, family. That's what we're going to see now. For a lot of you guys who have these businesses out there that you got that PPP loan, you still owe the government. For you guys who thought you was slick and didn't file for your taxes because you understood when you filed your taxes because you heard everybody else state that, hey, man, they started taking them stimulus checks out of my tax return. And I was telling people on this channel for a long time, it's not free money. It's not free money, family. Let's get into the numbers. I know numbers don't lie, people do, right? So let's get into it. Let's come down here just a little bit. Loan and grant programs. Loans are at the top of the list. That automatically tells you, family, that $808 billion out of the $5.2 trillion went out to loans, meaning that the government want to see something on their investment. They invest into the American people and their businesses, but not the way of a rescue, by way of an attachment, by way of a loan, and the American government being your loan shark. And you states right there, the Paycheck Protection Program as number one, right? Then income support by the way of unemployment, $689 billion. And by the way, family, is this only on the federal level? Because don't forget, states were also giving out unemployment as well. So hopefully people hunker down, because now we're seeing the effects of when the government pumps billions and trillions of dollars in the economy, which rolls inflation. And here's another thing: just because you pour billions and trillions of dollars inside of the company does not cause hyperinflation. It doesn't cause it. There's no evidence, no statistic that proves that. So a lot of people are stating that. Show me the numbers. But I'm showing you right here where the money went, essentially, okay, by the way of the Washington Post. Now, as we stated before, that the PPP was designed for small businesses. The airline industry support by $55 billion. Now, we can all encompasses all the American, flight liners, American Airlines, Delta, Spirit, Frontline, United, so on and so forth, right? But we see where the bulk of the money has went. Now, this is the thing that kind of made me look at this side-eye, family. $80 billion to nutrition funding. So when all of these people was on the internet was telling people to strengthen their immune system by using herbal remedies and natural products and eat healthy and eat organic foods, you telling me that the U.S. government had an initiative of $80 billion to tell people to eat healthy? Or did they spend $53 billion, which is $30 billion less, okay, $27 billion less, on vaccine and treatment development? Wait a minute. So you're telling the American people you spent $53 billion on vaccines, but you spent $80 billion on nutrition funding? Where does nutrition funding went? Did we see any large numbers of commercials stating eat healthy, eat fresh fruits and vegetables? Or did you continue to see McDonald's, Burger Kings, and Wendy's commercials? I'm just asking a question for a friend. I'm just asking questions. I don't know, right? But I'm just looking at the breakdown here. Tax policies, loosen limits on business losses, $141 billion. I believe I received the first stimulus and I didn't receive anything else, but they got that money right back when I filed for my taxes. And there's people who receive, I think, at least 3 stimulus checks, especially if you had kids. And if you look, depending on how much you make, what bracket you fall in, I know there's a lot of variables. Most people paid that money back out of their taxes. So again, the government kind of just gave you an interest-free loan, but again, you had to pay it back. And I know a lot of times people don't like when I speak about the government, but family, you have to understand where you live, how you live, and what they do to operate this country, and how sometimes it's very fraudulent the way they do these things. And they do it right in front of your eyes because they believe that most of American people are stupid or they really don't care about this. Now, they say small businesses, housing. Look over to the far left, family. Housing at $82 billion. That's real estate. Health spending. So when I look at health spending at $178 billion, grants to healthcare providers, okay, I understand that. Preparedness and readiness at $94 billion. Coronavirus relief fund, $150 billion. Okay. Tax policy, loosen limits on businesses, $141 billion. PPP loan, $808 billion, almost $1 trillion, family. Then we come down here that really involves majority of the people in this country, direct payments with the stimulus package. $411 billion that only equated to people getting $1,400 in their bank accounts. $1,400. $1,400. What can you do with $1,400 in America? I mean, if you live outside of Missouri, Alabama, maybe some low income areas within your state, maybe the boondocks, the country, what are you really going to do with $1,400? You probably can pay your electric bill, gas bill, and maybe get a couple of bags of groceries. You can't pay your rent. You can't pay your mortgage with that amount. And even if you can pay your mortgage, and you can't pay your utilities. Okay? So we getting these stimulus payments that you had to pay back with your taxes, right? And then you're getting these PPP loans that you have to pay back. Who has a controlling interest in your pockets? Who has a controlling interest in your business? I'm just asking questions, right? It states down here, we have the Corona State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, $350 billion. Another stimulus package here, $1,200, $294 billion, 600 stimulus checks. I told you it was 3 of them at $164 billion, right? And then here's the scale that they made out. This is how rich these guys are. Elon Musk, they said that he's worth $180 billion. Jeff Bezos, back in 2020, worth $112 billion, okay? Now, let's get into some other things I think that's important. It states here that it's hard to put 5.2 trillion in perspective. It's about 25 times the expected net worth of Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon, the Washington Post, amongst other things. During the pandemic, from February 2020 to May 2021, 7.6 million existing homes and condos were sold in the United States, according to data from the National Association of Realtors. With 5.2 trillion, the U.S. government could have bought every one of them twice. I'm going to throw in just two golden nuggets. The homelessness rate of Black Americans and reparations. With that much cash, the government could pay down every dollar of debt held by the bottom 50% of Americans, Black Americans, including mortgages, credit cards, and medical and student debt, which all total up to about 5.1 trillion, according to the Federal Reserve. And some of us are still questioning, does the government have money to give foundational Black Americans reparations? The answer is a staggering hell yes, and then some, okay? And I've stated that America is a monetary sovereign. I won't go into the details, but you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, family. Let me move on. Now, for those of you who still believe that America, I'm losing my point here. Let me get back, family. For some of you who believe that America doesn't have the money, then why this? 2.8 billion in additional U.S. military assistance for Ukraine and its neighbors. The bordering countries like Poland, Belarus, some other countries around there are receiving money from the U.S. as well to support the citizens of Ukraine as they flee their country. But they state that they don't have money to decrease the homelessness rate. They say they don't have money to clean up the water crisis in Houston, the water crisis in Jackson, the water crisis in Flint, the water crisis in Baltimore, predominantly Black cities. with a high concentration of Black people. This is why I go ham on the government and not one political party. I go a little hard on the Democrats because you have to, right? Because they pander to Black folk. But I look at this in totality. I go ham on both sides. Because at the end of the day, they're both supporting a system of white supremacy that ignore Black people at every wake and turn. Benign neglect is the #1 policy that both parties upheld with impunity. We're not going to get into the anti-Asian hate crime bill. We're not going to get into that, family. We're going to get into this money. Because this is disrespectful, family. This is disrespectful. Because what you guys are not aware of, that with that extra $2.8 billion, it brings the sum amount, right, which I still think is more than this, to $15.2 billion that we have given to Ukraine. I've given you numbers on the money that they give to the Afghani refugees. You notice I haven't given you any numbers of the money that they gave to the Haitian immigrants that came over here illegally, that they sent back to Haiti in a matter of weeks, okay? All 10,000 of them. It's amazing how, it probably took the Haitians, weeks to get here. But once they decided that they were going to fly the Haitians out, man, they got rid of them damn Haitians in days. They had all sorts of planes. I wonder who was part of that. I wonder what airlines was part of sending the Haitians back. I'm just stating a point here because we have a lot of Black people in blackface. That's right. We have a lot of Black people in blackface. They blend in, they skin in, they seem though they be on our side, but they always speaking up for the system of white supremacy or their white paymasters who support the system of white supremacy. How do they do that? Oh man, we ain't gonna get we don't need no damn reparations. Okay, why does everybody else get money except for us? Well, Ukraine is not part of NATO. The NATO alliance, are they? The neighboring countries, the 20 billion that they just sent to Nigeria, or was it 20 million? Give or take a couple of zeros. But nonetheless, the point I'm making here, if you go to the international federal budget or humanitarian budget, you will see millions and billions of dollars that America sends to countries each and every year. But when you look at the systemic problems in your city, in your state, in your city of people who look like you and I, who need help the most, they're not receiving support. This is why people like Stacey Abrams doesn't get voted in. Because people, and here's another thing, family, when you have these quote unquote elected officials that you believe that are for you because they look like you, ask them real questions. Our first questions, how are you going to give foundational Black Americans reparations in a check form, in actual money? Okay, secondly, how are you going to decrease the homelessness population in the Black American community? How are you going to attack the police brutality problem by wiping away qualified immunity? Walk us through how your policies are going to lay that out. The problem is this, and I believe the sister Tesla Figueroa pointed this out. We're never going to get anything for the bought and paid bootlicks that are already in office. And that's why I told you that voting, right, really hasn't really made a large difference. And now it's even trickling down to the local level because you have to put your own candidates in place prior to them being bought. You have to grassroots, homegrown, your own city and state and local officials before they get paid, before they come bootlickers, before they turn into Oreos, and forget where they come from and forget the purpose and forget the support of the people that they're there in the first place. You have to homegrown. And the only example I have right now, there are a couple, but the only one that comes to mind is Marcel Dixon. Because when you try to find something fallible, when you try to find something fraudulent, when you try to find lies in what he states, there's no lies. Because he runs on a reparations platform. And the only thing he does is spit truth. So if we can homegrown officials on that particular level to where they won't bend, they won't break, and we support them, that is when I believe we're starting to see reparations. Right? Because right now, these people are willing to fail. As we see, they're willing to fail. A lot of them have failed. Okay? They're still trying to hold on to the house. Very powerful stuff, family, when we think about these things, okay? The amount of money that the American government has given to all these other people is quite staggering. And Ukraine is just the hot topic of the day. I have nothing against the Ukrainian people or the suffering that they're going to, but God damn it, I'm thinking about us first. Because when you look at countries from around the world, if you don't look at international news channels like BBC or WEON, you're really not going to know too much of what's going on. Like right now in China, in different cities in China, they're protesting. They're basically saying, let us become free, because Xi Jinping, the president of China, has a zero COVID policy where he has locked down the entire country of China because of COVID on the rise. And they're marching the street by the thousands. They're not worried about what's going on here in America. So why would I worry about what's going over in Ukraine when I see my people dying and starving and struggling right before my very eyes? If you had a morsel, just enough to feed your child, just for them to live just another day, would you break that in half and give it to somebody where your child only lives a half a day? I'm just asking questions, family. I see we got Wendell in the room. Nice to see you, Wendell. JD Informant, Lisa D, Jermaine Anderson, Millie Block, Drico. Well, thank you, Millie Block. Drico says, Stacey Abrams bashed black men saying we was misinformed and whatever. Exactly. And a lot of that came from the Stacey Abrams platform administration, so to speak, was to just fall in line behind black women and don't vote with your brain, vote with your heart. And here's the thing, family. They came out, and I don't have the numbers to the exact, but they came out stating that even if black men would have quote unquote voted, which they did in Georgia, that she still wouldn't have won. She lost by a larger margin than she did the last time she ran. So here's the thing: you lost the voice. You became the voice of the people without talking to us. And every time the term reparations come up, you deflect it. You said, "Oh, you did to Kamala Harris. Anything that I do for Black Americans, I'm gonna do for everybody." And we're tired of hearing that, because we see everybody else getting money, getting resources except for us. And we're just tired of it. So we could be in Georgia, California, it don't matter what state, family. If people are not voting to your best interest and your people, then what the hell are we voting for? That's all I got for you guys, man. Y'all have a good one.